Little baby.
I'm not a young guy. Anyway.
Wow.
Anyway.
That was funny. That was pretty good.
I thought we'd bring it up. By the way, the banana flag thumbnail did win out in the comments overwhelmingly. So we're going to be hanging.
Do we stay in this banana frame for the whole show, or what's?
No, we're going to come out of the frame with the thumbnail.
Right. Oh, okay. Well, that's a great thumbnail. What, we move up bananas like they move up the atomic clock? The nuclear ticking code?
Yeah, according to Dershowitz, sorry. It's literally, we're X bananas to Banana Republic. We're out of 8 out of 10. So we get another banana.
They also moved the nuclear clock simultaneously because of the event that I had predicted over a year ago on this show of Putin finally moving in nuclear ships into the Western Hemisphere. In this case, I had predicted, as many people remember, that he would send nuclear subs down the Bering Strait off the coast of San Francisco and Seattle and Washington. Putin did not listen to my advice, and instead he's sending them to Cuba, which is a different strategy. But nevertheless, I thought that this would have to happen. He's got to do some Western Hemisphere saber rattling to bring the war home to the American people. Now, the State Department immediately poo-pooed it, said it was just normal war games, blah, blah, blah. People who watch this know better. This is a move by Putin to saber rattle in the Western Hemisphere, as I thought he would do over a year and a half ago. He has apparently the Biden declaration, or the Biden doctrine, of now allowing Ukraine to use American missiles to strike inside the Russian country, has forced Putin's hand to finally bring the war home into the Western Hemisphere. And I mean, he's obviously, this is just a gunboat diplomacy on the part of Putin, but nevertheless, it's the first move that we've seen.
Yep. Oh, and while we're doing the victory lap, we'll circle back down to the intro again. And we've been saying, as things get closer and closer, this all stems out of the Wall Street Journal article, but essentially they're saying he's not the same. He's not all there. It's kind of like the Hunter Biden laptop, Mark. Everybody knows it was really a laptop, and 2 years later, 3 years later, well, then we'll say, oh, yeah, that is really his laptop.
Yeah, I mean, it's two different stories, obviously. This story that we had predicted a long time ago, that they were going to start to have leaks in their ship, using the nautical metaphor again. Again, this is right before the convention, right before the debate, right before things. This is, even if they're floating it as a trial balloon, it's still something that we had predicted on the show a while back, that they will have to, and there's probably a lot of dissent within the administration as to whether he can go it again or even survive the election season. And if anything is going to happen, they're going to try to make it happen before the convention to replace him at the convention. So that would mean in bringing in Gavin Newsom, who I have to report is in full-scale battle campaign mode out here in California, and taking on national issues every single day in various places. He doesn't stay in California all the time. He travels to various ports of call to give himself some sort of gravitas. And he's like this guy waiting to come in from the bullpen. If the starting pitcher falters, and I get the baseball metaphor today, Eric, because as you're well aware, sarcastically, Dodgers Yankees today at the stadium, big 3-game series covered by Fox tomorrow, ESPN on Sunday, Dodger Channel tonight. People know what this means historically. So I am in full Dodger gear for after the show. I've got my, my Dodger Grobert bobblehead ready to go right here. One of the good luck charms. And of course, got the old McGregor glove in case I'm brought in. Like this relief pitcher, that would be Gavin Newsom, to get back to the original idea. The other thing that nobody knows about, and this is breaking from sources of mine, this is not a news story so much as there is now a new type of cannabis out here called Kamala Kush. Just so people know what's going on. Kamala Kush is one of the hottest new flavors, I guess, of cannabis out here on the West Coast. But the real story I'm trying to get to is Kamala's people. He's termed out in 2 years, Newsom, as a governor. He's got nowhere to go but to the White House, politically speaking. So the people who have put their hat into the ring for 2026 for the governor's race. Yeah, here it is. Is that about her? You strange name. Oh, yeah. So it apparently made the news. What is that? High Times or something? The
marijuana moment.
I say it's okay. Same difference.
My high level journalism, Mark.
Same difference. Anyway, so she giggled uncontrollably when confronted with the Kamala Kush thing. But the reality I was trying to get at is that the people who have thrown their hat into the ring so far for the governorship of California with the termed out departure of Gavin Newsom are absolute nobodies. There are people whose names pundits out here have not heard of, so far. So apparently what people have heard is from the Kamala Harris people is she, if Biden loses, will run for governor of California. As from the vice presidential slot. This was done by Richard Nixon in 1962, as you're well aware, against Pat Brown. He lost to Pat Brown in 62. This was after losing in 1960 to the Kennedy ticket. So it's not unusual for a vice president to make this sort of lateral move. This is her home state. That was Nixon's home state. There's a lot of parallels that I discovered this week looking into this story.
Are there term limits out there?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, how many terms for governor?
2.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, wait, that's 2 concurrent, right? Because couldn't you do 2, go away, and then come back and do more? Didn't Pat Brown or
I don't think
Jerry
so.
Brown do that? I can't remember.
I don't think so, but I'll look into it. Now, the reality of it is she can do the Nixon move, and apparently what I have talked to on another channel about is the fact that, and maybe people have thought of this, I have not heard this, but the fact of the matter is RFK could have walked into this governorship without spending a nickel. He could have walked into the United States Senate blowing away Adam Schiff in 5 seconds like his father and uncle did. I do not understand, unless this is a completely phony campaign and he has no desire to rule anyone, why this man did not take the United States Senate seat that is now up for grabs here in California. He could have walked in like his father and uncle did back east. Nobody's ever mentioned this, so I'm bringing it up here today. I don't know why he doesn't want to walk into the California governorship. It's like running a separate nation. And then with those 2 things under his belt, like his father and uncle did with the Senate seats, you then have some gravitas to run for president in 2028, Eric. I don't know who's advising him other than these 2 girls, one from the CIA, the other from Silicon Valley, Shanahan and Amaryllis Fox, or his campaign is just a campaign of ideas that he wants to get out there into the zeitgeist, and he has no intention of giving up his surfing workout procedures in Malibu. Keep in mind, Schwarzenegger did go up there, lived in a tent for 8 years because he wasn't allowed to smoke cigars in the State House in Sacramento. Sacramento's not the greatest place on the earth to live, but you can fly back and forth from Malibu or Van Nuys Airport to Sacramento every week if you want. These are 2 powerful positions that this guy, who has no chance, as despite what paid pundits might indicate, he has no chance of winning anything on the earth, is spending millions and millions of dollars of other people's money for a complete failure of a campaign. Maybe he will then work in reverse. The Senate seat will be gone. He could battle Kamala Harris for the governorship of California. That is a real thing. I would support the guy for governor of California. Who gives a crap? Let him run California. I don't mind that. I would support him for Senate over Adam Schiff. Absolutely, any day of the week. But obviously not trying to take 7 points and 6 points, respectively, according to Rich Barris, from Trump and Biden. In Biden, a key battleground states poll. That's the Hill. Yeah, Rich, I don't know what that poll says, but Rich put up a thing where he was taking about 7 from Trump and 6 from Biden and reverse in certain other places. So you're looking at a 13-point thing, split 7-6, depending where you are. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it adds up to nothing for him. That's the point I'm trying to make. It adds up for nothing. He's not going to be a kingmaker like he feels an attraction to one candidate or the other. If he did, he could be a power broker. But he is denouncing both of them constantly. And that's, what he has to do as a third-party candidate. So the idea that he would all of a sudden be a kingmaker and this would roll into the House and people would embrace him is absurd, which is their entire insane strategy. That being said, it was also the anniversary of the week that his father was assassinated here in L.A., not by Sirhan, but by Thane Eugene Caesar, a security guard with a high security clearance coming out of Burbank, out of the aerospace industry. Thane Eugene Caesar, if you look at the case, like many of us have, clearly shot and killed RFK from behind and got away with it. The fascinating thing about the case in the assassination of Robert Kennedy Sr. Here in LA in 1968, this week, is the fact that no matter what you do, no matter what anybody did, this case could not be put into reverse, could not be appealed. People knew this was Thane Eugene Caesar. The people who worked on the case on the prosecution side got promoted up the ladder to judgeships and various other more powerful positions, did not want to see the case overturned. There's all these different administrative state reasons, but the prominence of the assassination and the almost quote unquote perfect autopsy by Thomas Noguchi, as it was called at the time, and as Noguchi was called to testify in the case and was removed from the witness stand when he started to go too deep into the game in the Sirhan trial, Thomas Noguchi's autopsy was an open and shut case. It's very, very different than the JFK case. This case is an open and shut physics forensic case of a gun right behind the ear, touching the back of the head, based on, gun blast evidence and how close it was, stippling and things like that. And Noguchi was prominent in being one of the inventors of and proponents of, if that's the right word. And RFK Jr., to his credit, went into the jail cell and interviewed and talked to Sirhan on a number of occasions. And then RFK Jr. and myself were at the parole hearing where we got the ruling to parole him that was, again, shot down by Gavin Newsom, going full circle with this story here because it's the week of the assassination. It's astounding just how powerful the deep state can be when they dig their heels in, Eric, is where I was going with this thing.
By the way, folks, we have 4 episodes on RFK and Sirhan. So if you want to get deep into the details,
yeah, I'm not going to go into it here. Yeah, Eric's right. I'm not going to go into it here because we go into it deeply. But I was involved in the parole hearing of Sirhan and spoke at it, and so did RFK Jr. And rightfully so. A, he's innocent, and B, he's 900 years old and is not going to hurt anybody. He's been in there second longest in the entire California penal system. And apparently his 2 sisters claimed that he could take an Uber from Pasadena, where he's from, to Malibu and kill them, which had some influence on Gavin Newsom. Again, just complete insanity, but it shows you early on, and I mention this because of the court cases against Trump and the court cases that are now out there with Bannon. This did not start with Trump. This stuff goes all the way back, where these cases where attorneys that were assigned to people are removed and deep state attorneys are then assigned to people. And it happened with the Manson girl. It happened with with Sirhan's attorneys. They replace the attorneys with people they can trust. And then the case becomes rigged starting on that day one.
True. Absolutely true. Speaking of rig cases, this broke literally right before the show. I don't know, I can't substantiate it, but essentially, supposedly one of the jurors, this is a letter from Juan Merchan to both the prosecution and the defense with concerns about this. Dear counsel, today the court became aware of a comment that was posted on the Unified Court System's public Facebook page, and which I now bring to your attention. In the comment, the user Michael Anderson states, quote, "My cousin is a juror and says Trump is getting convicted. Thank you for all your hard work."
Yeah. Wow.
The comment, now labeled as 1 week old, responded to a routine USC notice posted on May 29, 2024 regarding oral arguments in the 4th Department of the Appellate Division unrelated to this proceeding. The posting entitled "The Appellate Division 4th Department will hear oral arguments this morning at 10, and the comments are both viewable." So there's some very big concern there. If there's a jury, saying this to the outside, we may have a problem.
Mistrial?
I don't know. Again, I'm not a lawyer on that, so I'm not sure.
I predict he will disregard it. It's not even going to be a story. But what is a story, like I was telling you before this, is that speaking of Justice Janet Jackson of the Supreme Court, I think she's Janet Jackson is one of the justices. She has, is that her name? Janet Jackson?
Not Janet.
Honey, it's so funny with Honey. Justice Janet Jackson received a $900,000 book advance today, plus tickets to Beyonce's world tour. You can't make this up. Breaking news. It happened this morning, Eric. This is in lieu of what's happening with Alito, what's happening with Clarence Thomas. Justice Janet Jackson. I don't even know. Sheila Jackson? Is that who it is?
Ketanji Brown.
Ketanji Brown Jackson? Is that her name?
Yeah, Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Okay, well, that's hard to remember. I'm just going to call it Janet Jackson. Who apparently is illiterate, from what I understand, based on people's reports of her knowledge of the Constitution and things, which is shockingly bizarre how illiterate she is justice-wise. Is that a picture of her somewhere?
Well, here's
the book advance story. Yeah, okay, this is what I was referring to. I don't know why you get the free tickets to Beyonce too. I mean, it's a little much.
It's a bonus.
You get the bonus, and then you have to keep voting. In other words, it's right before the election. This is clearly a quid pro quo. This is clearly how they work. And Barnes and I have talked about how these book deals are now the new money laundering and payoffs of the left. This has been going on for a number of years now. The books don't sell. Nobody gives a shit. These are bribes. These are direct bribes. How she can accept $900,000 and the Beyonce tickets, more importantly, is totally bizarre.
Yeah.
Not as bizarre as the Tennessee trans shooter whose manifesto eked out a little bit today with sketches and drawings. And so I don't know if you heard about this. There was a leak finally of numerous pages of the trans school shooter.
It's taken 2 years?
Yeah, 2 years because it's top secret. It's like the 9/11 report that's in the skiff for the first 28 pages. Nobody's allowed to see this. Why the police in Nashville feel that it is their right to withhold this, and we're supposed to believe that the chief of police of Nashville is the arbiter of this decision. Like he woke up one day and said, "I'm going to rock this world by never releasing this," and his phone never rang from other portions of the left. Nevertheless, the point of the story I'm trying to make is that she bought the guns with her college Pell Grant. Oh, I got a college Pell Grant. I bought books. What the trans shooter did was buy the guns to kill everyone in the school shooting.
Well, she didn't see a future with her education.
Right.
So she decided to invest in it otherwise, apparently. Wow.
Well, the prosecution just rested in the Hunter Biden case by the way.
Oh, just now. No, I did not know that.
Moments before the show. Yeah, I meant to tell you that. And this is a case of nothing. He will be given probation, I predict, and that'll be the extent of it. And they'll say, look, justice works. But about trial live, gun is shown in court. It's all bubamaisis, to quote my grandmother.
Well, they dropped all the relevant charges that that anybody cares about.
He'll be convicted. It'll be a probation. It'll be a 5-year probation. He'll have to report to somebody or something somewhere at some time, which is what his father probably wants anyway, to keep him off of coke. And think about it. It is a family method that a lot of families like to have, because they drug test you and there's supervision of a wild child in a elite family. This is very common out here in California. Families are very happy to have this happen to their maniac drug addicted son. Keep that in mind.
I think Nate was telling me, or somebody, that his crack habit was so bad that he was.
Wait, Nate had a crack habit?
No, Nate was talking about Hunter.
The pillow guy. The pillow guy had a crack habit.
Hunter Biden's crack habit is so bad that apparently he had to hit every 30 minutes, even on a plane.
Well, it was 15, but that's what every crack habit is. It's not just the Hunter Biden crack habit. That's crack.
Wow.
That's crack itself. Crack is whack. No, that's where it comes from. I mean, crack, you got to take a hit every 15 minutes. That's the reality of crack. And it's not Hunter Biden's fault. That's the drug he chose.
All right. Well, I'm going to take a minute and remember, friend of the channel who you and I both met and interviewed.
Phil Nelson. Oh, my God.
Phil Nelson, who wrote a tremendous book on JFK, Mastermind of the Assassination.
That's the book. That's the #1 book.
He passed away on June 2nd, it appears. And I will try to put up our interview. I believe it's on Locals right now if anybody wants to check it out. I'll try to put up our brief interview where we had the opportunity to meet with him and talk with him in November 2022. Yeah. But it's a major loss. He's not.
But he kind of retired. He said, he did not, he saw something coming. He quit like a year or two ago from the public sphere. He said his wife wanted him to stay home, and he did for the most part. I remember him sending me emails and things of new stories he was researching, but it did kind of dwindle the past year, Eric.
It did, yeah. It
so
was
not shocked, but sad.
Oh, very sad, very sad. I hope.
Mastermind of the Assassination, LBJ. I strongly recommend that book to everybody who donates to the book fund. It's a fantastic book. I mean, look, there's other books on LBJ for sure. There's a lot of phony books. There's the Robert Caro series that gets into every single aspect of LBJ's life except the assassination. Right. So to have the complete picture of this man, I suggest you read the Robert Caro series on LBJ, Master of the Senate, and the other books, and just about the assassination. That's where Phillip Nelson rocks through his mastermind of the assassination.
And that's pretty much as the source, or a major source, of Roger Stone's book, for those of you who
he just gets kids to cherry pick stuff, puts his name on it, then puts the kid's name in small font on the bottom of these books. You know, not to discredit Roger Stone, but he's not Phillip Nelson and he's not Robert Caro. So it is what it is.
Very true. Anyway, definite loss. And like I said, I'll try to put up the interview where you chatted with him at the conference.
Yeah, big hero of mine, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm so glad that we got to meet him. You know, Cyril Weck died a week before.
They're all going to go. They're all right. Yeah, you're right.
Well, Philip Nelson was a younger one. He was only 69 versus, or was he 60? I don't remember, but he was definitely not in the Cyril Weck land of
no.
In the 90s.
Right,
but I'm glad at that same conference or that same period, I got to interview Cyril Weck. So it's good that we managed to talk to them before they passed. And I'm really happy about that. Okay, your representative seems to be a little nervous here. You shared this with me.
Yeah, he's it's kind of, I'm kind of giddy over this because they're freaking out, including Andrew McCabe, who said that his world of intelligence FBI people are thinking of fleeing the country. This is, by the way, this was Trump talking about indicting members of the J6 committee for various reasons when he retakes the White House. The other part of this, and this is Adam Schiff, whatever, he's in fear that he will be indicted, and rightfully so. The other part of this is Andrew McCabe saying that many of the ex-FBI or current FBI people involved in getting Trump through the phony Russian dossier are thinking of fleeing the country to avoid prosecution. This is two words that are left out of the story. They don't want to flee the country for political reasons. He claimed in that interview with CNN that they are thinking of fleeing the country to avoid prosecution from Trump. However, they kind of, which he didn't add, we do have extradition treaties with most of the countries in the world. So I don't know where these FBI agents are going to run and hide from the long arm of the Paxton the Paxton Department of Justice that will be looking for them. So this is going to be interesting to see.
But why would they run if they didn't do anything, Mark?
Well, he says it's because an out of control dictator with revenge on his mind, thinking that what was done to him might be revenge. He talked about that he couldn't figure it out either. The bottom line was,
okay.
Yeah, he didn't know why this madman would be after him.
Yeah, and I'm sure the whole department would just swing unless there's actual charges and actual evidence, and they're a little bit worried.
Yeah, well, he's worried, McCabe, and I think Strzok and that concubine that he had as a girlfriend should be worried too.
Oh, well, they should be big time worried. Big time worried. All right, well, here's a news that broke last weekend, and it's just kind of like oh wow. Tulsi Gabbard's aunt.
Yeah, what was this? What was this crazy story?
I don't know exactly what went down, but what's up with the hammers? Anyway, her aunt apparently stabbed multiple times in
meth. Is it meth?
Hammers.
And I'll tell you something else. In Hawaii, where I think this happened, or where did this happen?
I think it is in Hawaii or some island. Let me see.
Is it out there in Guam? Did this happen in Guam?
It could. I don't know, either Guam or Hawaii. I'm not
sure
yet.
There is only one drug on these islands. And if you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. It's called ice. And ice is the slang for meth. That's all they have. They only have one drug. If you go to any 12-step meetings there, it's just about ice, just about meth. And with meth, there are attacks to the head, usually decapitations, because the other person is driving this person insane by talking too much. And I know this sounds crazy, but the reason people are beheaded with swords and hammers attacked in the head is to stop the other person from talking, because the person who's doing the aggressive behavior already has multiple voices in their head, and they don't need more external voices. I'm only half joking. But there is a science to this insanity. So maybe this old actress was on ice. It's the only thing I could think of.
Well, author, I think.
But there's a theater there. In other words, the killing happened inside of a theater that's named after her. So it seems like she's an author in residence, actress, something or other. I'm not really sure what the deal was.
Yeah, and it does appear to be in Samoa.
Samoa. Okay, there you go. Samoa. I'm sticking with ice.
Yeah.
Unless you're rolling. If you're rolling, and people at home know what I'm talking about, unless you're rolling on the Molly, which is never going to lead to violence because that's a love drug.
I was going to say, isn't that ecstasy? But okay.
Yeah. I was just throwing that in there for fun.
Okay. Well, that's a different kind of hammer, isn't it?
Right. That's a different. That's MC hammer. That's MC hammer.
Okay.
Can't touch this.
All right. Well, while we're taking our brief crime interlude, you told me about this Netflix show
Yeah,
what
what's
was it
this one?
called?
Oh my God!
Unlocked.
Yes, as soon as I saw this on my feed, not this, the show. When the show came out, I just said this is a recipe for disaster. This is kind of like there was a show called 20 Days In or something where they put people in prison. That's one. There was another one. They're always monkeying around with the prisons, Netflix and documentary episodic people. They're obsessed with doing stuff with the prisons. This one was people just unlocked in their cells, can roam around the prison at any time. This guy became a star of the show. He had about 20 days left before he's supposed to get out. And of course, he was found dead in his cell, in his bunk, killed obviously by inmates who were probably embittered about his stardom or whatever the reason was. He's dead because they had unlocked cell doors as part of this documentary series, which Netflix people would bribe. This is how it works. You have to spend money to get a prison to do this for you. So you bribe prison officials. I know because I've had hands out to me asking for that money for a series I wanted to do down in Arizona with Sheriff Arpaio. Not that he did it, but other people within the system. Everybody's looking to get paid. So I believe whoever allowed this insane series to occur in their prison system, there's a lot of room for lawsuits from the guy's family. That's all I can tell you, which is also happening with the reindeer girl. Also with Netflix. She's suing them for baby reindeer for $170 million, and rightfully so. I mean, they have literally taken, and whether it's true or not what she did, I have no idea. But they have taken.
They made the claim, and this is, I think, the most significant part.
Yeah.
She may or may not have done that.
Right.
But they claim in the series that she is convicted and spent 8 months in prison. Wow. That's a provable factual thing. The other stuff we could say, oh, that's my opinion, or how many letters, and you could quibble on it. But when you make an actual claim that somebody has been prosecuted, pled guilty, and convicted,
there's also the film taboo of showing two people intimately in a room doing different things when only one person is signing off on it. In other words, you can't take a living person, not have their life rights, put them with another person whose life rights you have, and say, well, this guy raped me in this room. It's like, really? I mean, essentially, they've got the two of them in a room, but they only have the rights to one of them. That is a recipe for an explosive.
They tried to cover it by changing the name, but they happened to pick an actress that looked like her, happened to get the mannerisms, use the same tweets that this person actually
the comic is playing himself. The guy he's playing himself in the show.
Yeah.
Wow. It's going to be another big payout for Netflix.
Wow. Well, but hey, look, they may be doing that, but TLC's saying hold my beer.
Is 8 enough? What is it? 8 is enough?
This is 9, right?
What's he got? 7.
7 kids.
7. Well, 8 is enough was run by Tom, what's his name, who turned out to be CIA. Remember, we covered this somewhere along Tom Broden. I forget the guy's last name.
I forgot his name.
He was on CNN for a while, and then he ended up with a reality series. We wrote a book called 8 is Enough, and then became a show. Anyway, look at this. This is crazy.
Now, I'm sure that, it's not to have a good family look, right before the trial. Nothing like that.
This is going to be funny. July 11th is beginning the jury selection, Eric. No, it's a week before. So it's not July 11th. It's the start, I think.
9th or 10th is the jury's.
Yeah. They're given a couple of days for the jury selection. Hopefully, I could get down there and do some coverage of this.
They did try to get it thrown out. And
that didn't work.
No luck. The judge ruled against it.
That did not work. But as we know, teamwork makes the dream work, and maybe together. I have to cover this story before we leave LA. I was telling you this before the show off air. I don't even know how to explain this one. They come up with crimes here where they're so far ahead of the law that there's no law for the crimes that are rampant in this little area. And then the legislature, who comes up with laws that nobody wants all the time, social justice laws and everything else, they are always behind the clock on criminality in LA and in California. This is a nerve center of these geniuses who stole the catalytic converters off 10,000 cars, thereby backing up catalytic converters for 10 years. You can't get one. These guys are so far ahead of the curve. Let me just tell you what they're doing now, and you could try to wrap your mind around this. They are stealing every fire hydrant in the city of Los Angeles. Okay. And now you just say to yourself, what is it about the fire hydrant? It's the metal. They're taking this to, refurbished metal places where they pay out by the weight of the metal itself. This is what they're doing. So you think, how are they? This is now in the hundreds and hundreds of fire hydrants. So how do you get a fire hydrant, Hunley? Like, what do? You show up, you're a criminal, you got a bunch of guys. How do you get this? You got a wrench? What do you do?
Well, don't you have to shut the water off?
No, that's what I thought. Apparently not. You don't have to shut the water off. You have to steal a car. So over 300 times, they've stolen a car and rammed it in reverse into the fire. You will shut up and you will learn, Hunley, because this is the criminal mind. They steal a car. They ram the car at high speed, 60 miles an hour, in reverse, knocking off the fire hydrant, which needs to be turned on. There's no gusher. When the I thought the same thing initially. When the fire department shows up, they turn a valve to turn on the water to come out of the fire hydrant. Okay. So the car knocks off the fire hydrant, which they put into another car that they've stolen, and drive to the metal payout place, the wrecking place or the metal place, with the fire hydrant in the trunk of the new car.
Why don't they just take the cars?
What's that?
Why don't they just take the damn cars and sell the?
Oh, no. They don't care about the car. The car is a battery. The car's a battering ram.
But there's money in the car. I just don't get
it. That's a whole different division of crime out here, Hunley.
Okay.
They're not in that. They're in the fire hydrant division. They're not in the car or grand auto theft division. They just grab a car, put it in reverse, knock over the fire hydrant, leave the car, put the fire hydrant in the trunk of their car, and then go to the wrecking metallurgy department and get a payout.
Well,
now, you could say this happened like a couple of times. It's an odd crime. No, 600 times this has now happened in LA where there is no fire hydrants left. Okay. Eric's a terrible criminal. Yeah, he's not. I
agree.
No, he's not. He's not.
This is out of my.
Right. I was a criminal. I'm telling you, this is brilliant. You take the car, you steal the car, you ram it in reverse, you take the hydrant, and you're off to the races. Again, when I first heard this, I said, look at this happen 3 times. No, 500 times they've stolen cars and done this. Think about, and okay, so there's no law about this. What's the law? It turns out to be like petty theft. It's just like a petty misdemeanor.
Well, how much is a fire hydrant worth? I mean,
that's debatable. Yeah. That's a debatable question. Depends where you go, what day you take it in, where you bring it to the metal guy. The metal guy is going to pay you in the black market. The metal guy sees a fire hydrant. He knows it's not something LA's getting hosed again. He sees a fire hydrant. Where does he think it's coming from, Hunley?
Well, I'm the one who said that about the metal shops.
Right.
And somebody did speak to me that I met in person who does run a metal shop, saying, hey, look, we can't control everything, but I'm still going to push back a little in this. Okay. And I'm going to double down now and say, okay, if it's a fire hydrant, perhaps we should say, where did you get this? Let's go ahead and check
but that would be a new law. And they're not into that kind of law. They're into making laws about not telling your parents that you're gay or transgender in school, different laws that interest them. This is not one of them. That being said, I just had to get that story out. But I want to give a shout out to 2 upcoming TV or movies that I recommend. One is called Betwixt. This is a really avant-garde horror film starring Val Kilmer before he lost his voice, 2012. It's directed by and written and produced by Francis Ford.
Oh, lost you. Okay.
How about now?
Oh yeah, different microphone, but whatever.
To do with life itself, it just decided to mute itself. That being said, betwixt, if you could find this, I don't know if it's on Prime or Netflix or it was on Stars, but it's very avant-garde, very surreal, and it stars Val Kilmer and a couple of other people, and it's a horror kind of vampire thingy, directed and written and produced by Francis Ford Coppola. Highly recommend it. Totally weird, so don't expect a normal movie, but beautifully shot, totally avant-garde looking, totally crazy shots. Only Coppola could have done this, and apparently it went under my radar. I don't know where this film went to when it came out, but
try checking the microphone on StreamYard and see if you can swap it again or see what's showing up, because it's very hollow with the built-in.
I don't know what to say.
That's better. That's better.
Okay. Anyway, so the other thing is called Six Schizo Brothers. That's the Six Schizophrenic Brothers, coming out June 10th on Max and Discovery. I have no idea what this is, but it's six brothers who are all schizophrenic in one family, it's not a comedy, obviously, it's some sort of serious thing, but I'm going to look forward to seeing that. And I just wanted to give a shout out to those two shows.
All right. Well, we were talking about, what crimes people do like to enforce. Texas is not off the menu here.
Okay.
This doctor here, he essentially leaked what was happening at this Texas hospital with quote trans kids, if you will, to Christopher Rufo, Dr. Ethan Heim, and he exposed what's going on with the program, what they're doing to kids. So it looks like the Biden Justice Department decided to bust him as if he was Roger Stone,
right,
or somebody else. They came in, heavily armed, etc., over HIPAA requirements, even though he did apparently black out all names and things like that. They still are coming in and strong arming. Mike's still off.
Okay.
If you could check that again.
Wow. Yeah, they only have one gear, and they should live in fear. You know what I said on Twitter all week? Trump has got to wreak revenge. I know he doesn't like to do this, but he has got to find someone to wreak havoc upon these people as revenge for the crimes that they have committed for 4 years against the United States. And that may mean, people like Liz Cheney. It might mean people like Hillary Clinton. It might be Barack Obama. It might be people like Merrick Garland. But there has to be payback for all these crimes. You cannot come into this office again in January 25th and act like everything is normal. It is not going to be acceptable to the American people. I'm sorry. The people are too up in arms. From what I see on X and in my feeds and other things that I hear, people want fucking payback. And Trump has got to deliver payback. You can't just wash your hands of this and try to make deals with people like it's the art of the deal again. We're way past the point of no return now, Eric, where this has got to be, there has to be retribution. There has to be retribution. What's that?
And it's got to start high too, like Fauci and Hancock.
Yeah. It's got to start high and work its way down. Do not tell me you're going to arrest some low-level FBI agent or some putz who was a staff assistant to Schiff. This has got to take some big fucking heads off, and he's got to do it from day one. Day one, not 6 months into it, not a year into it. He's got to chop heads from day one. And if he doesn't have the gonads to do it, he's got to find somebody who does. And whether that's Paxton or Vivek or whoever you think should be in charge of the Justice Department, somebody has got to come out of the gate running here. Or people are just going to lose faith in this guy, and we're going to be adrift. I mean, he really needs, I'm studying the Nixon case, And through the eyes of people like Pat Buchanan and others, they were just ripping their hair out about Nixon's just muddled domestic and foreign policy. But the domestic and foreign policy that they wanted, he just kept pulling the chicken switch, Nixon. And that may be his biggest legacy from what I'm learning. I'm reading a lot of books on Nixon, but man, oh man, was Buchanan ripping his hair out over this guy, especially with forced busing, with the bombing of Cambodia. It's both domestic and foreign, how he just wanted people to love him, Eric. How he just wanted the New York Times to give him a fair shake, completely underestimating the hatred for him. And it just reminds me of Trump. You know, there's a lot of similarities between these two guys. Good intentions may not cut it anymore. You know, we're way past the point of no return in this country. And, you know, Buchanan, the book I'm reading right now, it's only a couple of years old. So Buchanan's looking back from 2018, I think, when he wrote this book about Nixon. So he has some, you know, modern day perspective on it. Now, he's also talking about a guy named Peter Brennan, who I was tweeting about this week. Peter Brennan was a guy, a low-level union guy in New York who had connections into the White House as a union, not a big union. It was the Painters Union or the Building Trades Council, some cockamamie union. And Building and Construction Trades Council maybe was the president of in 1973 or two. He organized the hard hat anti-protest against the anti-war people on Wall Street. When the hard hats got together and busted some heads, it was super organized. It came out of the White House. The left has called it the hard hat riot. It was anything but a riot. It was super organized by Brennan. Brennan will later become Secretary of Labor under Ford. He rose up through the ranks, but his first act was this organization of hard hats pushing back against these Marxist revolutionaries in the streets of New York and busting some heads. And it was a magical moment to push back against these anti-war demonstrators. And I don't know if we could ever show some clips of it or wherever, but there's clips of it
because there's music in there, and I was like, oh shit, because
well, there's clips of it online that people could see on their own. They don't need us to do that. If you Google the hard hat riot at the time, it was a pushback on the part of people in that administration, especially in New York, to say we're not going to take it anymore. We're not going to take these protests anymore. And they busted a lot of heads. And these guys, what reminded me of it last month when Trump went to visit the hard hats around the corner from the courthouse, when he went over there to see a construction site and spoke before some construction workers. I had a memory flashback to that hard hat protest. And it was a protest of people who supported Nixon. There's a lot of photos of it that I put online yesterday on Twitter. If people follow my Twitter feed at Lord Bugley, you could see a lot of the photos that I put up
there. All right. Pivoting to another story. I thought this was kind of interesting. Vivek, you brought his name up a minute ago or so.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was doing this, but apparently he's been investing some of his money and buying giant chunks of BuzzFeed.
Kind of a weird story because BuzzFeed, like Vice, is a CIA front. So I don't know what he's buying into. Maybe CIA pulled out of it and it's just an entity now, like Vice.
It could be. I don't know. But, you know, it's
you're buying the name. You're just buying the name. I mean, what is it? A bunch of people at a desk.
But even so, that still could be of value. I could see
okay.
if, like, let's say he and Peter Thiel, bought another one, somebody else buys another one, and somebody else buys another one. Just the name and the reputation, which is, highly, highly lefty, and then start to pivot in and put more reasonable reporting in there that could help sway the public conversation. Same way, I mean, Elon buying X has had an effect.
I know, but I'm saying the evildoers have fled X. Most of them are on Facebook now, from what that's become the new leftist hangout, or they'll create their own new one. I mean, I guess you could buy them all up, but no one's going to perceive BuzzFeed as a leftist organization once he takes it over and replaces everyone.
It could be, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I look at it as people in the know aren't, but buying the name does have value if the general public is not informed. Oh, such and such bought that, don't you know? Well, they don't know most of the time.
No, I understand, but I'm saying, what are you buying other than the name? You just buy.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it from you're buying BuzzFeed. You're not going to own those people. They're going to flee.
Oh, of course.
Right.
And you replace them with new staff and to change the publication.
Okay.
I mean, if anything that's out there mainstream can get pivoted slightly, I'll take it as a win.
Okay. Well, I'd rather have him start his own from scratch is where I was going with this, but because it does have, it does have bad name recognition. So.
Let's see now. Okay, this I literally just saw coming in, and it's kind of scary. NATO preparing for potential ground war with Russia, including plans for U.S. troop involvement.
Absolutely. He's not kidding around. I mean, that move by Putin down in Cuba was quite real. He's not doing it for war games, buddy. He doesn't need any war games, Putin, to go into Cuba. He's been involved in a war for the past couple of years. I think they're fairly ready, for whatever comes on our way. I mean, our full training army is not going to be able to compete with these guys, but maybe a lot of Poles have to lose their lives because they've run out of Ukrainians. I mean, the estimates are now over 500,000 dead Ukrainians, Eric, from what most rational sources are indicating.
My bigger concern is not even Putin on that. It's an incredibly weak president in peril.
Oh, yeah.
And the number one way to change the conversation is to have war.
Well, you could watch Wag the Dog with some guy named Robert De Niro and Dustin Hoffman.
That same De Niro, who was outside the courthouse wailing and crying about a previous president. Yeah. Lovely.
It could be a Wag the Dog. I mean, look at this thing. It's happening in July. The logic behind it would be if we were at war with Russia, that you would not want to change horses
in the middle of the stream.
And horses in the middle of the stream.
Yep. I mean, literally. I mean, help Bush out in 2004.
It's been done before.
Yeah, it's a very.
Unfortunately, this is a nuclear-powered superpower that has the exact, on paper, the exact same number of nuclear missiles that we have, which is 6,000. According to parity reports and treaties and blah, blah, blah. That's on paper. I don't know if that's actually true. But in theory, we're nuclear equal, the two countries.
Scary time. So let's move on to something a little lighter. You sent me this, and I'm just kind of going, all right. Hot rodent men are becoming Hollywood's sexiest heartthrob. So this is your beat. You tell me about rodent men.
I had to go to some young female friends to find out what the deal is with this thing here. Apparently this is the new attraction. This is what people are attracted to now. So I have to.
So ladies in the chat, is this guy sexy?
I don't know if it goes to ladies in the chat of our chat, but other chats on TikTok. This is, they're attracted to young men who look like rodents. The only way I can explain this is in the 70s, short men became in vogue, like Dustin Hoffman, Richard Dreyfuss, Al Pacino. And people went through the same thing, saying, how can anybody be attracted to these tiny men? But it was a thing. So rodent men is not so crazy than the short men. They're now going for rodent men. And if you read the comments, some of the girls are saying, I can't believe I'm attracted to a rodent man. How is this happening? No, the comments are better than the story itself. They're attracted to these rodent-faced men. And they do kind of look like rodents.
No, they definitely have.
Am I crazy, or do they look like rodents?
No, they look like rodents. I mean,
okay.
Here's your comments. Why am I attracted to These jug-eared, rodent-faced MFs being the hottest men at the box office. That's movie magic, baby.
Yeah, so they're kind of aware of their own bizarre attraction to these rodent men.
I don't know. I
Again,
think
they were attracted to.
Yeah, but
speaking of Dreyfuss, they had a Jaws anniversary show up in Massachusetts at some theater that Dreyfuss. It was an evening with Richard Dreyfuss. Speaking of Dreyfuss for Jaws, and he came out on stage and denounced the entire transgender movement. He denounced the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences with their different rulings, and he went ballistic on all these different woke things. The people were totally apoplectic. They had no idea that he had been saying this for the past year or two, to his credit, Dreyfuss, in various public forums. And he walked off. They flipped out. They all flipped out. The theater had to issue a public apology for the evening with Richard Dreyfuss in Massachusetts, literally last week. So credit to Richard Dreyfuss.
Why was he trying on the dresses the day before?
Dreyfuss?
Yeah,
I think it's mockery of the thing that he was protesting.
Okay, because I wasn't sure that was the part that I was kind of confused.
Yeah, no, he came out in a dress. He came out wearing a dress.
Okay.
No. It was a full-on one-man show, Eric. That was in other words, he was supposed to be on stage in a chair, and then you screen Jaws. You know these things. He came out and he did literally a one-man show. And they've not released any of the footage, and people are quoting him, and I've yet to see any of the footage. I thought the Daily Mail would get it, but nobody's giving it up of that lefty crowd that was in the theater.
Oh, come on, somebody had to have a phone.
They all did. No, they all did, but nobody, somehow it hasn't surfaced yet. Let me put it that way.
No, it's going to come out. We're watching for it, folks.
Right. And I've met Dreyfuss I've done business with Dreyfuss. He is a very interesting, ornery, independent actor. Let me just put it that way.
Yeah, he liked Richard Nixon, if we're going to bring full circle, right?
Well, he played Dick Cheney in the movie, in W, I think it was. He played Dick Cheney.
No, Nixon. You had your Nixon story when you said, hey, Richard Nixon was just in here.
Right. I was going to get to that next, but I had him attached to my Jonas Salk movie. Mm-hmm. And we met over Jonas Salk. He didn't want to play Jonas Salk. He wanted to play Albert Sabin. I think we might have covered that in some other episodes. Yeah. And then, of course, in Custom Shop, he came in drunk, and Nixon had just left as a customer of mine. And he ran up Fifth Avenue chasing after Nixon on a very hot, humid August day. To no avail, came back sweating, out of breath. Couldn't even speak, and said, "The son of a bitch got away," which was one of the great lines of all time.
All right.
So I've had a few episodes with Richard Dreyfuss.
All right, you sent me this one, which I think is hilarious. I guess there's a landmark in China, a major tourist attraction, and they apparently had to apologize over this beautiful waterfall that they had.
Gorgeous, just beautiful Mother Nature. Only Mother Nature could create this.
Yes,
and the tourists who worship this, the tourists who come from all over the world.
And if you look very closely at the head of the water there, you'll notice, wow, that water's coming out in a perfect circle. And well, wait a minute, I see some metal peeking out of that rock.
Wait a minute, Hunley. What are you trying to say?
Apparently, it's a pipe.
What?
Right there, and you can actually see the pipe where this beautiful waterfall.
Oh my God, the Chinese have pulled a fast one on us again. Look at that, Hunley. That's their Grand Canyon. Holy shit. I mean, you can't make this up. I mean, the fact that they would create a tourist attraction for people, tens of thousands of people from around the world to come to this thing that's fed by a pipe through a rock is brilliant, is absolutely brilliant on the part of the Chinese.
Oh, they're great for that. What was it? A few weeks ago that they showed that these dogs were, painted like pandas or whatever.
The dogs, or
they had like the quote panda dogs, and it was like just dogs, and they dyed their hair to look like.
Well, I was confused with the Japanese collie guy that we covered last week.
Right, but he actually built a uniform and did this thing. So,
so the pandas are coming to Washington, D.C. next week, just so people know they're visiting from China again.
And these will be the real pandas.
Right. Well, I quickly ordered the America's Untold Story pandas before the run started on them. So I have my own collection of panda bears that we're now selling through America's Untold Stories.
Ah, so you're the guy who ordered.
Yeah, no, I'm going to corner the market on pandas, and I'm going to resell them to the Chinese. Yeah, this is one. I ordered 1,700 of these to sell back to the Chinese government and put them everywhere around China. So you will see that panda bear with the logo.
They like that.
The Chinese will not.
Representative.
Right, and they will not even know that they're representing our show, and it'll be spreading throughout Shanghai and other outer provinces. Once I get the airlift with a plane, like Frank Sturgis did over Cuba.
I think it's
dropping them from the plane like Frank Sturgis and David Ferry did.
I think it's a fantastic idea.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go ahead and segue into this article and see what you think. Hold on, share this tab. All right. It looks like supposedly vetting documents have gone out.
What is that about?
Supposedly the paperwork, they send out paperwork to, I guess, say, confess all your sins.
Right.
And here are some of the names.
How does he get on the list? How does Rubio make this list?
Little Marco.
Yeah.
Tim Scott and J.D. Vance.
What about that guy? The guy from North Dakota.
Oh, well, there's more. Those are the senators.
Right. Oh, right.
Then you have Brian Donalds, Elise Stefanik, and then
Governor. Who's Brian Donalds?
Byron. I'm sorry. It's Byron Donalds. He is a congressman out of Florida.
The black dude? Oh, I like that guy. I like that guy.
People really like him.
I love that guy. I see him all the time on Newsmax. Very calm, very smart, very deliberate. I would take that guy in a heartbeat.
Not this one, though. Not Tim Scott.
No, not that one. No.
Please, not Tim Scott.
No. Again, my rule is, and it's not my rule, I learned this from my grandfather. You do not give up a Senate seat for a vice presidential slot. Just want you to know that it's not done. Or it's a hard-earned seat that you have no guarantee of replacing with someone from your own party. Ask the people of Alabama about that. You do not give up a Senate seat for a VP slot. That's why I would take Byron or Stefanik out of Buffalo is a good choice. They may give them New York State and New York if he could take Stefanik. I would not be opposed to her if this is the list, which you're telling me it is.
Oh, right. I mean, yeah, in terms of the list, it's like there's a lot of names I don't like.
Right,
And Doug Burgum, he talks a good game.
Right.
It was enjoyable to watch, but I have a problem with anybody who sells gift cards to get signatures.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about. It could have been a campaign manager who did that. We can't hold that against him.
Okay. Well, anyway.
I don't know enough about this guy to throw him out the window. He looks like something out of a movie where he plays a vice president. So that goes a long way with Trump. He looks like a movie version of a vice president. But in real politics, I would go with that black dude out of Florida all day, or there's Stefanik up in Buffalo all day. And I don't know.
Stefanik has been doing well in Congress.
But again, you could trade a congressional seat out of a safe district for a vice presidential person who's going to be we'll get into this at some point when we do the Spiro Agnew episode, how effective Spiro Agnew was and how Nixon was the same effectiveness for Eisenhower as Agnew was for Nixon as a mouthpiece on the bully pulpit.
Yeah, well, and that's what you want. I mean, that's why, I do like Vivek. He's out of the picture, it seems, by all accounts, but he's a great attack dog. I mean,
a great attack dog. There might be some other spot for him in the administration.
Could be. Yeah. You brought up. I think he might be a lawyer. Yeah. DOJ, but I like Jackson for DOJ.
Me too.
So.
Me too. By the way, before I forget, there's an organization that Laura Trump.
Is it Laura or Laura? I don't know.
I forget, but it's called protectthevote.com. And if you want to sign up to volunteer to help protect the vote, I'm calling for armed protection of the inner city voting centers to intimidate, not to shoot and kill, but to legally and non-violently protect or intimidate by encircling these inner city voting centers during the election time. I just want to be as clear as humanly possible about this idea so it's not misconstrued. But there's also Protect the Vote, which is a volunteer RNC thing that Trump's daughter-in-law is running to help create more poll watchers and people videotaping. I think we're way past that point of poll watching. What are we going to do? Resolve it 6 months after the election that you had a video? It doesn't work. So, but it's there. I have to put it out there. Protectthevote.com. You can volunteer to be some kind of volunteer to watch your polls being ripped apart by trucks backing up in the middle of the night.
By the way, this would be funny. Michael Malice for press secretary.
That's funny. That's funny.
He could dance.
That would be hysterical. That would be hysterical.
Because he'd be mocking the shit.
I'd pay for that one. That's a good one.
All right. So let's go through some super chats and whatnot.
Knock yourself out, Huntley.
Dustin went to the casino and he's making it rain with memberships on everybody. 20 memberships. That's like $100 in memberships from Dustin. Thank you very much. And careful with your gambling habit. We want to make sure that you're safe and
end up in a rehab.
Yeah, no kidding. KM said Mark's saying this while wearing Dodgers. This is really early in the show, so I don't know what you were saying.
Mark's saying this by wearing Dodgers.
While wearing Dodgers, so I don't know what you.
What do you mean about LA or?
Maybe I don't know. It was really early in the show, so it's hard to figure out. Pamela Clifton, hello guys. Hope you all have a great weekend. Thank you.
Yeah, you both of you in the picture there, the two of you.
Yes, absolutely. And then, hey, Dick Dickerson said, "Okay, Dustin, you may have won some money, but Dick Dickerson is going strong, and he still holds the record. This is the membership giving king."
Wow, Dickerson.
10 more memberships. So thank you, sir. And then, Mark, since you got the jersey on, want to play a round of Pepper?
Dude, I'd love to play Pepper. I really would. I mean, I went in the batting cage 2 years ago. I went down to Fullerton. I had to get this glove. I had to get it restringed. So I went down there, and they had the batting cages down there. And I took a friend and brought my bat, and he broke my bat the first time he got up. So I was I had a brand new bat, which he broke. But yeah, I like getting in the cage, playing some Pepper.
All right, BTK. The sister-in-law / pork partner got married 2 days ago because the new husband knows plenty, and now it's a wife and husband not testifying versus the family.
What is this about?
I don't.
Sister-in-law pork partner.
I don't.
Some of these you really got to bring in the Enigma machine.
Well, I mean, it's like you're assuming we're reading the exact same thing. I don't know who it is, but interesting.
Right. A fascinating $5.
Yeah, thank you. Yes.
Oh, wow. The Golden Palomino. Way to go, Parsons. His punts had 6 seconds. Yes. Longest hang times I've ever seen of a punter. I forgot about that. Thank you, David. Whoa, did he have hang time? His punt had 6 seconds hang time. Brought snow in Texas Tech. Led the nation 3 years to. I didn't know anything about his college career. So,
all right, let me read it out loud for
the folks who are listening. I'm sorry, I got so excited.
I went to college with Donnie Anderson, the Golden Palomino. His punts had 6 second hang times.
Right, that's
brought snow, and Texas Tech led the nation for 3 years for 0 yard return.
See, I always wondered because it's rare. I think Horning kicked too, but Donnie Anderson replaced Paul Horning. You never see a running back as a kicker. And I remember Donnie Anderson, and I don't remember Paul Horning before my time, but I remember Donnie Anderson as the kicker for the Packers as a punter. And I always wondered, like, is this a gimmick or is he just, but I didn't know he had this college background as a punter. But man, oh man, was he a good kicker.
All right. Dustin Russell said, my dad, son, Yankees wrecked your grandpa. They wrecked me, and they're after you. Go Dodgers.
Thank you, Dustin. No family hated the Yankees more than my family. In fact, we had no idea where the Bronx was. When you're growing up in South Brooklyn, the Bronx seems like it's light years away physically. I mean, I had never been to the Bronx. I'd heard about the Bronx. It just seems you never go anywhere that far north. In fact, the Yankee fan base is from Westchester and northern New Jersey to this day. And the Met fan base is southern Brooklyn, Queens, and Long Island. So it's still, and southern Jersey. So it's still a geographic split among the Met Yankee fans, which the Mets obviously replaced the Dodgers in 1962. The Dodgers left in 56 after they won the World Series, 57. But yeah, so it was just like a scary place up there, Yankee Stadium.
Gen X Boomer said, Mark, what's with the Cali removing dams and killing all the fish they wanted to save?
I have no idea what that means. They're opposed to dams. I do know this. They believe dams are artificial and environmental disasters. Now they're in a post-drought political propaganda spin because the drought that they kept saying was ongoing has now disappeared because of the amount of water we've received in the past 2 years. So now the drought has been gaslit as to never have existed, and the reservoirs are overflowing, and the dam system is breaking, and they don't like dams, so they haven't built a new dam in 100 years, and they are trying to get rid of the dams they have. So
damn those dams.
Damn the torpedoes.
All right. Dick Dickerson said, Kash Patel was on Timcast before the Trump interview. He said Trump will seek justice and he's going to pull all security clearances from everyone not currently active. Hopefully Kash will be AG.
Kash could be AG. I wouldn't mind that. That's a good. I didn't think about that. Kash could definitely do it. We need somebody, including bringing back Rick Grinnell, who was very good, Eric.
Okay.
Gay guy out of California who knows where a lot of the bodies are buried as a ambassador, or maybe to the United Nations, or maybe something else. I think he was ambassador to Germany, Rick Grinnell. But then he was assistant interim national security advisor or something like that at the time.
All right. Jenny's getting inky with it. Did you see Trump's Dr. Phil interview or Massey on Tucker? Both were good.
I just read some of the quotes this morning from the Dr. Phil Trump interview. He's trying to get stuff out of Trump, and Trump will not play his psychological game. And Trump is sticking to his own talking points. So Dr. Phil is trying to analyze, if that's the right word, Donald Trump. It doesn't really go anywhere in terms of the analysis part. But Trump talks about the damage that all these things have done to his family in terms of his wife reading these articles about him all the time. And he does open up about that. I remember going to Dr. Phil's brain lab in Dallas, Texas, at one point in my life to try to control my own brain with Cher. Me and Cher went down there. I don't know if this is an episode we ever covered. Me and Cher went.
No, this is new to
me. we what's it called when you have like cyber neural? You're trying to control the cyber brain waves of your brain. It's been around for a long time, but he has a brain lab down in Dallas.
I know PET scans and
not PET scan. No. It's called neuro something controlling your brain waves.
Okay.
You could Google that shit and you'll see what I mean. It's
no, it's not NLP.
No, it's not. It is.
No, I'm talking the chat. The chat's
right.
Things out there. So it's
called cyber. What the hell is this called? Neuro cyber brain waves. Cyber.
Somebody said lobotomy. No, that's through the eyeball, folks.
Waves. Let's see. And we had to put on electrical brain waves, oscillating delta. No, that wasn't it. Anyway, we had to put on these. We look like Soviet cosmonaut helmets with with transistors coming out of them, and it was you were able, or he was teaching us to control our own brain waves. That was the idea behind it. And I don't know if it worked or it didn't work. But,
neurotransmitters?
Yeah, neurotransmitter. Yeah, neurotransmitters, cyber transmitters. Right, they're electrodes in a helmet, and you watch your brain waves on the screen, and it trains you in a cyber method to control your own brain waves, which can lead to more relaxation, things of that nature.
All right. Well, very interesting.
But it was weird because it was sharing me, and it was a weird.
And Dr. Phil, to throw another.
Yeah, it was just a weird trip.
Okay.
I'm only mentioning it because of Trump and Dr. Phil.
There you go. Debbie O said Stefanik sold us out on the last funding bill for $1 million earmark. F. Stefanik.
That's a tough call. Okay.
All right. Well, coming in hot. Beavis Wallace is back.
Oh,
Howdy,
where was
brothers.
Beavis Wallace?
Well, here he said, "Howdy, brothers from McAllen, Texas. I'm still watching. I donated too much to you fellas, and the FBI gave me a visit. Stop the commies. Trump better clean the swamp in 4 years."
Listen, thank you, Beavis.
Yes, thank you so much.
Wallace. I am adamant about this cleaning the swamp thing, and I don't mean cleaning the swamp generically. I mean indicting, prosecuting, and incarceration. Those are the three buzzwords that are anything less than that is going to be bullshit. There has to be jailings. And I know this goes against the entire zeitgeist of Trump. That's why Trump is able to, if you read The Art of the Deal, he never closes the door on any scumbag who he encounters because it may come back as a deal later on. He has got to either do it himself or find someone who is a mean-spirited, Bannon-like person to do this for him. And I know he doesn't like to delegate power. So this is going to be very troublesome for him because it goes against a couple of different things that are in his core. Delegating real power and having someone go full McNasty on someone else.
He needs like a Roy Cohen again, right?
Well, that I don't know. I mean, Cohen was vicious. Well, he needs a Roy Cohen. Yeah, right. I'm sorry. Yeah, absolutely.
Kirk Berthalter, LBJ ran for VP and Senate in 1960.
Okay, well, I mean, they kind of changed the law down in Dallas for him to not lose his Senate seat as VP. LBJ, on his own, made a phone call and had them change it, the LBJ law, to not lose the seat, and they quickly changed the law for him, just to be factual about this.
Well, and John Bagno coming in hot, brand new name, almost $50. Keep up the good works, guys. MAGA, thank you. That's very, very generous too. Thank you so much. All right. Well, speaking of, you brought up Bannon, so we've got this story.
Yeah, we got to cover this Bannon story. Yeah.
Well, right now we know that he has to report to prison July 1st or jail, whichever. He's going to be locked up, which sucks. But you sent me this about his earning money from Seinfeld reruns, and I vaguely remember.
Yeah, nobody believes me. He was partners with a friend of mine, Jeff Quantinez, who had a company called The Firm. That was not the company that ended up with the Seinfeld stuff, but he owns a big percentage of the Seinfeld reruns, Bannon. My friend Jeff Quantinez, who managed Ice Cube and a bunch of bands, Limp Bizkit out of New Jersey, couple of Korn, went to, I think, Harvard or Princeton. Jeff Quantinez was partners with Bannon. And when they began their attack on Bannon, Jeff famously, who was a liberal Democrat, came out to defend Bannon. I'll never forget the courage it took for Jeff to do this. He was hammered by everyone on the left, and I don't know if he survived politically, but he just said, I am a liberal Democrat, and I have worked with Steve Bannon for a number of years as a partner in business. I can vouch for the integrity of Steve Bannon, and I'm paraphrasing here. And to his credit, he stood up for Steve Bannon at that time. This was right at the beginning of the Trump administration. And Bannon is an enemy of the state. I mean, I don't know any other way to put it. I mean, there's plenty of people who have not honored subpoenas for the committees who are not in jail, including the vice president's son. And of course, the timing is exactly the amount of time necessary to miss the election, shutting down the war room, Alex Jones now getting shut down. This is all happening in the same week, the same month, people, not by accident. All of these communication platforms are being shut down via the Biden administration's Justice Department.
Okay, we got to cover this story. I saw this story come across the line and I just thought, bullshit. Even though I don't live in New York, I made some assumptions, and I also talked to Nate, and Nate said highly unlikely. But you have Wendell Pierce. I like how they say suit star. It really should be called The Wire star, because The Wire is a far better show than, Meghan Markle's little thing. But okay, Wendell Pierce claims that he was denied housing in Harlem over race, that the landlord denied. Now, from what I understand, he was co-signing for a relative to get an apartment. And the landlord said, no. See, here it is.
Finally,
the family member's application was turned down. Now he's saying that it is race.
Sure, it is.
But he does not identify the landlord. I mentioned that to Nate, and Nate said yes, that's because that would put him in line for defamation.
That's right. Of course.
I am going to call bullshit on this for multiple reasons.
What white neighborhood did this happen in New York? What completely lily white?
Harlem.
On the upper, wait a second. You said this happened on the Upper East Side of New York, the Silk Stocking District?
Yeah, Harlem.
You say it happened in Bensonhurst, the all-white Bensonhurst in South Brooklyn?
Yeah, Harlem.
Okay, let me see if I get this story straight. A black guy went to Harlem and tried to get an apartment and couldn't get it because the black guy was black.
Because of the white landlord and the heavily white influenced Harlem. Yes.
Okay, so who does he rent his building to normally in black Harlem? What is
people,
this?
Obviously, Mark.
Okay, because the whole story is rather confusing, because I thought the way to sell this Smollettism is to say that he tried to rent, which has happened before, a condo on the Upper East Side, some luxury white. But no, Wendell Pierce has stupidly attempted to racialize this story for his deadbeat relative, who apparently didn't have enough credit to get the apartment, which is why this mutt is signing for his deadbeat relative. And because the landlord saw through it, Wendell Pierce has now decided to not inflict any punishment on the unnamed landlord. Wendell Pierce has decided to inflict punishment on the white race in a really insane brush. Instead of, like, as Nate said, there's no name of the landlord. If you indict socially the landlord, just say it's Jeff Gilstein or whatever his name is at 223 West 128th Street. That would be some justice, but there is none because it's full of shit.
Yes, and that's what I told Nate too. It's like, no, it's absolutely true. There's no defamation required. Truth is an absolute defense to it, right? Right? You shouldn't have to worry about that. Be strong. Be bold, Wendell.
The closest thing I see to this are actresses who claim they were raped by various producers who, despite the ability to prevent other young actresses from being raped in the future, decide not to.
Stop saying that word, dude. Grape. Something else.
The women who are saying this never reveal the name of the producer that did it to them, Eric, is the point I'm trying to make.
Oh, yeah.
They could save other girls from similar imaginary crimes.
It is a crime. Report crimes.
No, I'm not even talking about that. I'm saying naming the guy. And it's always indicative that they're making it up, because even from a social justice warrior point of view, if you name the guy, it will stop him from doing it to others.
True.
And when they don't name the guy, people sometimes in the comment section say, why don't you name the guy to save other young girls coming up the ladder? But it's a bullshit story. So
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. All right. I love this story. I don't know if you had seen this, but you've seen air tags, right? Or commercials on them, Apple air tags. It's like
yeah, for direction, for geography and
right, for tracking your stuff, like you throw in a bag, whatever.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes it's been nefarious. There's bad things have happened. However, this guy is a hero. He had his tools stolen from him from the work site. And believe me, this is important. When you're in construction and somebody steals your tools, that is a brutal crime. That's how you make your living. It's very, very important to have your tools. So he got pissed off. He was tired of it. And when he bought new tools, he put air tags inside of his tools. Sure as shit, they got stolen again. And he used the air tags and the police, and they cracked the biggest tool case, power tool. I mean, look at this pile here.
Holy crap.
15,000 stolen construction tools totaling $3 to $5 million. Wow. It's one of the largest and most expensive theft cases in the region in recent years.
Wow. Oh, speaking of theft cases, they said there was a tip, an article from baggage handlers, not to put marks on your bag. Different.
I saw
Did
that.
You see that?
Yeah, I sent that and sent it to my wife, and she's like, "Screw you! I'm putting my tie on the bag."
Right, but they say that this flags the bag, and they'll take it aside and examine it manually, delaying the delivery of your bag. The same thing with old baggage tickets. Apparently, the guy was trying to be helpful, and he said anything you put on a bag is going to delay your bag. Is what the point of the story
the baggage
was.
ticket makes sense because that's going to confuse things.
It confuse things, yeah. But the bandana, nah, don't put that bandana on there, ladies.
Unfortunately, anyway.
Come on, Huntley, you got to get rid of that bandana.
Well, what I can't believe though is they said don't put any stickers on there. I'm like, well, why would a misfit stickers be a problem?
Yeah, stickers. I don't think that's going to cut it. But apparently, anything hanging off is a red flag for them.
Yeah, I definitely saw the article. But speaking of bags, that happened to be my next story. So we got one hero with the air tags, and I think that's fantastic.
I got to get some of those air tags.
Yeah,
they're not expensive, right? They're pretty cheap.
$400.
One
for 29. It's like $30 for one.
All right. By the way, can you send me that link again to the
for the 8th time? Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm a Luddite. I don't know what I did with those. Because I have to go camping. I'm going to try it out.
All right. Here's another one. Speaking of airlines and tracking, Spirit Airlines flyer tracks down her stolen luggage to airport employee's Florida house with her pinging Apple Watch.
I love that.
Now, this is what's really messed up.
Right.
She was getting on the plane with a carry-on. Mm-hmm. And you know how you get if you're too late or whatever, you got bad zoning.
Don't do it.
Well, they forced her to check it, and instead of just being right there on the bottom of the plane, it was checked and it was going to baggage claim. Mm-hmm. So she's standing at baggage claim. Her bag is gone. That bag had like her laptop, iPad, Apple Watch, valuable stuff. And she was able to at least go track to this guy's house. He was arrested. Somebody in the chat, yes, this is correct. She did not get her stuff back. What I love about it is the guy is a Spirit Airlines employee. Mm-hmm. The guy is busted by the police. The police were shocked to find her at the house. They were like, why are you here? Mm-hmm. How do you know this? Mm-hmm. And the Spirit Airlines cut her a check to pay for everything. They said, we're not saying that it was actually our employee who stole anything, but just in case we give it a check, go away.
Wow.
But
that Spirit Airlines 3-on-1 beatdown the other day in Miami Airport was really brutal. It was 4 black guys. One of them has a beef with the counter guy, and then 3 other Spirit Airline employees give him a beatdown while everybody's filming it out.
Wow.
I mean, that was unbelievably brutal. One guy kept kicking him in the head, some ticket guy, just kept kicking him in the head. And first they square off. It's like two heavyweight black dudes. I'm like, oh, this will be good. But then three of the others come around, and it was like 4-on-1, and the crowd like turns on them. The crowd, obviously filming and rooting for various people, as things have it now with these, public beatings where you choose sides. They turned on Spirit, and the Spirit people were fired, unfortunately for them, for gangbanging.
I vaguely remember that, and I thought, yes, Spirit can be frustrating airline, but this is getting a little out of hand.
Well, when the employees start beating you, I mean, that's dark.
Definitely dark. All right, Trey Elswick said, "Amen, Beavis," to Beavis's $100 comment earlier.
Yeah, Beavis. Look, the king of the world. Beavis is the main dude now. Could anybody beat Beavis? That's the real question at this point.
Good question.
Yeah, Beavis may run the earth.
Joshua Turnage, Mark's thoughts on Free Palestine crowd interrupting Kamala Harris.
Brilliant.
On the Jimmy Kimmel TV show.
Brilliant. Love it. I don't watch Jimmy Kimmel, but I love the fact that they're going after the Biden administration. I love the fact that they're going to disrupt the Chicago Convention, that they will get credentials from various pro-Palestinian forces within the Democratic administration. And the best thing ever happened to these people is to have the pro-Palestine people against the Biden administration, because it's a gift that keeps on giving.
All right. Jason Cunningham became a new YouTube member. Thank you.
Is he related to Billy Cunningham, the great Philadelphia 76er forward who went to Boys High in Brooklyn? That's a real question.
Yes, Ginny's going to ink you with it. There's a story about, it was a woman, unless there's another guy who tracked a airline employee's house, but I think that with a tag, I guess that could be.
There was a story about the TSA employees at LAX. By the way, there's a huge story which I haven't looked at yet on ABC World News about LAX airport giving up looking for any drugs anywhere at any time. And it's become an established drug hub. This was a special report by ABC World News just about LAX. And I haven't seen it yet, but I'm going to take a look at it, because there is no drug enforcement at LAX to deal or look for in luggage anywhere at any time. They said all of the dogs are bomb-sniffing dogs. They don't care about anything related to drugs. And the drug cartels know this, and they're shipping it with various people straight through
mules.
Just straight, not even muling it, just in the luggage, let's go. It's not even being checked.
Wow.
Wow.
All right, got a Rumble rant from Kitty724. A small is $10.
Okay.
Small pittance of appreciation. Sorry, been a while since I've been able to catch you live. Much love. Well, thank you, Kitty.
We missed you, Kitty.
All right. Trey Elswick, Spirit Airlines is the worst.
Well, there's always some airlines that's got to be the worst. So, I mean, whoever the bottom airlines is by default has got to be the worst airline, the cheapest one, right?
Yeah, but did you see? I think it was JetBlue was trying to buy Spirit.
Yeah.
Or one of those, and I looked at it, and the rankings on the airlines were Spirit was last, and the second to last was trying to buy them. I was like,
so they could merge and take that
bigger bottom. Yeah, we're holding our spot, man.
Yeah,
we're gonna hold that bottom.
Look, we both suck. If we could get together, we could suck a lot less. We could call it
more.
Jet Spirit, and no one will even remember. We'll change the brand name to Jet Spirit.
Fletcher Boy, Joe Biden got heckled leaving Hunter's trial.
Oh, I like that. Thank you, Fletcher Boy. That's interesting to know. I did not know that. This professional smell crotch, Jill Biden, who was dealing with her pooping, as Viva pointed out, possibly pooping presidential husband during the Macron France Normandy event. He kept doing something with his pants, crouching down, standing up, crouching. Apparently, many pundits
reached behind, and it looked like he felt down there. So
right. It was apparent. Now the rumors are that he wears Depends adult diapers, which is what they're designed for. So I wouldn't be surprised if he was wearing them, because it's designed for people like him. There is a big market for that pooping presidential Pampers, as I call them. The pooping presidential Pampers have to be changed. And I understand the Secret Service are not happy with his role dealing with them in the changing of the presidential Pampers.
Right. And for folks who are saying, oh, we're making fun of an incontinent guy. No, if he wasn't president of the United States, I would say leave this poor man alone.
Yeah, it's elder abuse. Every time I see him now, I just think in my head, this is elder abuse. That there is a cabal with a guy named Barack Obama at the top of it, and Valerie Jarrett and her group all running the country. They don't give a fuck if this guy's shitting in his pants on the stage in Normandy. They have clearly planned for this event to happen. He is their elderly puppet while they are running the and every other aspect of the United States government. They don't care. And they're not taking full-page ads out in the Times saying they're running the country. But at some point, a logical person will have to believe that this man is not. And that's where we are, people.
I agree. Your mic is coming in and out, in and out. I don't know what's happening there. Let's see. We got the vetting.
What about now?
Still not there yet. Talk again. Test.
Test.
That's not even better.
Okay.
Very weird. Very weird. Okay, well, to wrap things up while we're talking about airlines, beep, 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 beep. I think this is earlier today. Flame shoot from Air Canada Boeing jet moments after takeoff. We've got an engine fire. Holy shit.
Yeah, wish my dad was still alive to see this, a former jet engine mechanic at a Kennedy. I'd love to get his take on what's going on with these Boeings. It's all 777s, by the way, you know?
Yeah, and it's all Boeing. It's just
my dad, when they brought a new plane online, they would give him a folder that was like 50 inches thick, and he'd have to take it home to study the new configurations and engines of whatever the new model was, 737, 727, whatever it was. And I was watching him studying this thing going, how the hell does anybody understand this? You know, but there's more whistleblowers coming out every day from Boeing, right, Eric?
Yeah, and they, well, not only coming out, they seem to have health issues or something. They don't hang around long.
What are you trying to say? Spit it out.
I'm trying to say that I'm on YouTube, and I would never try to guess it.
Well, when we go to locals, can we discuss this as men?
We definitely can discuss this as men. And to close out here with the last story, because Oswald will be taking us over to locals, along with Panda and his other crew.
Mm-hmm.
One last story.
What?
A remote Amazon tribe gets hooked up to the internet using Starlink, Elon Musk's thing.
Right.
And of course, they're, guess what?
Hooked on the internet.
Yeah, they're hooked on prawn, if you will, and social media.
Right. I see what you're saying here. Wow. It must be. Wow. What did they expect?
That's what I'm saying. It's kind of like really from the Department of No Surprises.
Right.
You get the internet, and you get people. Well, they're gonna find prawn, and that's all they're gonna want to find out. So we're going to head over to locals. Everybody, appreciate it very much. Subscribe while you're here, and you know what? Get some coffee. There's a link in the description.
Get some damn coffee, dude. Come on. Look, I've got mine. Here's my bag.
Nice.
Okay. I've got my bag. Why don't you get yours?
It is fantastic coffee. It is a perfect blend. As shown by the show, we've got the Mexican Chiapa beans, which are new and modern in how they are made, versus the Sumatra, which is older and bolder and struggling with technology, much like one of us. So you've got the young and the fresh and the high tech, and then we have, we'll say, the boomer bean mixed together. to a
mixed together
wonderful blend
with Frank Sinatra.
That's right, that you all could check out. Everybody consider it. There's a link in the description, americasuntoldstories.com/coffee. And we are going to be heading over to locals.
What?
Yeah, we've got to keep the party going on locals, unstructured.locals.com. Again, it is free to become a member there. Hang out, look around. You'll see the rest of the show. Anything gets cut, you get to see uncut episodes, no ads. Really, it's a good deal. And we'll see you there momentarily.
Okay.